Hello, this is Kelly Phillips for paperbeadrollers.com.
In this video, we're going to work on a cheerful necklace you can wear to all of your holiday parties this season. If you like this look, you can choose to make these beads in any color scheme you like and wear them all season long. The first step in making this necklace is to make paper beads that mimic the look of old-fashioned Christmas ornaments. I say old-fashioned because I'm thinking of the beautiful glass ornaments that were handed down to me from my grandmother. They have silver or gold caps on the ends where the old metal ornament hooks would come out of the top. Our paper bead ornament balls are going to mimic that look and maybe bring back some memories for you. I made this necklace to fit my own neck measurements. You may want to get a tape measure to see if your measurements are slightly different. The beaded section of this piece is approximately 12 inches long and contains 35 beads. So you'll need enough materials to make 35 beads, and we will go over all of that in just a few moments. The chain part, including the clasp, is about 8 inches for me. You can do beads along this entire necklace if you'd like, but I think it would get uncomfortable behind my neck and get tangled in my hair. So I chose to use chain for the part that goes behind my neck. It's time to choose your paper. I chose 12 by 12 sheets of 65-pound cardstock that had a light coating of iridescent glitter. While I was rolling, I got glitter everywhere, so if I were doing this project over, I might pick up a bottle of glitter clear coat and paint it on the beads after they were rolled. I chose 3 different colors, green, red, and white for the holidays. I just used 1 sheet of each, but I did purchase 2 sheets of each just in case I messed up or I needed extra. You will also need at least 70 bead caps. That's 2 caps per bead. You can get any style you would like, just make sure that they will fit the ends of the beads you're rolling. And of course, you'll need a bit of glue. I just use regular white school glue for my beads. You'll also need a different kind of glue to stick the bead caps on. School glue is generally not going to be strong enough for that. You can use any jewelry glue that you like. I use the Tombow Mono Multi-Liquid Glue. It stays flexible when it dries, and so the caps aren't as likely to pop off. However, I did smear it a little and it left some of my beads a bit sticky, so if you use this, be very careful with it. To get the same bead shape that I have here, you will need the 5 32 inch yellow capped bead roller from paperbeadrollers.com. If you use a different size of bead roller, a different dimensioned strip, or a different weight of paper, your beads will turn out a little differently from mine. Those 3 elements are what determines the final shape. The paper strips are 3/4 of an inch at the wide end and come to a point at the other end, so the shape of a triangle. I use 12 by 12 paper, so my strips are 12 inches long. We will use 2 strips per paper bead, so you'll need a total of 70 strips. I chose 3 colors for mine, but you can choose as many colors as you'd like in any color combination you'd like. Let's roll our first bead. Line up your 2 strips so that they match perfectly and slide them into the slot on your bead roller. Here's a trick you can use if your cardstock is too thick to fit into the slot. Don't force it and damage your paper. Instead, slide the bottom strip into the slot. Push the top strip right up against the rolling pin. Put your finger on the bottom piece to hold it in place as you begin to roll, and you'll capture that second strip nice and securely in the roll. This does mean that your strips are not perfectly lined up, but that's fine. Your beads will still turn out great. When you get to the end, you will have 2 tips to glue down. Put glue on both of those ends and secure them. If you get too much glue like I did, just wipe off the extra. You can adjust the bead a little bit after it's done to make sure your shape is perfect. Now, the glaze. For this project, I'll use Judikins Diamond Glaze. Just put a small amount into a dish and paint it right onto your bead. I put my beads on wooden skewers for this part and stick the skewers into a foam block while they dry. I usually do 2 coats per bead, but you can put on as many coats as you like to get the glossiness you prefer. Now that the bead is dry, we'll put on the end caps. Carefully apply the glue right around the edge of the bead hole and stick the end cap in place. The shape of the bead will sit up flat on the uncapped side, and you can just leave it there until it dries. Then when it's dry, put the other cap on the same way and let them both dry completely. I suggest letting them sit overnight so that they're nice and tight and you don't push the cap off when you try to stick the wire through. Now that your beads are ready, let's make some jewelry. Here are the supplies you'll need. A package of head pins that match the color of the bead caps you used. I already had the 2-inch silver head pins on hand, so I used those. You can probably get away with a 1.5-inch head pin for this project if you made your beads the same size as mine. You'll need at least 40 of them. I always like to have a few extras on hand. You will also need 2 10mm jump rings and some type of chain for the part that goes behind your neck. Because this necklace is too small to fit over your head, it will need a clasp. I used a hook clasp, but you can use whatever type of clasp you prefer. As far as tools go, you'll need a few different things. I recently got one of these jump ring tools and it has changed my life. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I really do love it. You wear it on your finger and use the slots to open and close your jump rings. You'll see it in action here in a minute. We'll also be using the chain nose pliers and the 1.5mm one-step looper tool. Now let's prepare the beads. Take a head pin and insert it into your bead. Be careful doing this so that you don't push off the caps that you so carefully put on. You'll need to decide exactly how long you want your head pins to be. You might need to experiment with a few beads in order to figure that out. Here's how I'm measuring mine. There's a small hole in the outside edge of the one-step looper. Mine is sticking out about 1 centimeter. I'm not the kind of person who has to have every measurement exact, so I just eyeball it against my mat. I'm using a mat that has measurements on it, so that works for me. You can be as exact about this as you'd like. I will tell you that if there is too much of a variance in the length of your head pins, it will be obvious in the final steps of this necklace. So do your best to keep these consistent. If you're using the 1.5-inch head pins, you can probably just loop them right at the end of the head pin and you'll be fine. You won't need to do any kind of measuring. Once you have your head pin lined up, go ahead and make the loop. This project will go much faster if you do not close your loop quite all the way. To leave the loop open slightly, just don't pull as hard on the looper tool. Now, if you don't have one of these looper tools, you can absolutely do this by hand. There's no problem with that at all. Go ahead and do the head pins for all 35 of your beads. Now we're ready to start hooking them together. Decide the order of your colors. I'm going to have my red bead hanging from the pin of the white bead and my white bead hanging from the pin of the green bead. And then the green bead will hang from the pin of the red bead and so on and so forth in that same repeating pattern. This will form a zigzag pattern. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to position the red bead so that it hangs off the white bead's pin. I'll use my pliers to close that loop. See how that looks? And now we'll let the white bead hang from the green bead. You might need to open your loop a bit. Don't open it too much. It only needs a very small gap to fit around the wire. And close the loop back up around the other pin. Now our green bead is at the top. Next we'll add a red bead and we'll continue with this color pattern until we get to the length we need, which in this case is about 12 inches. Once you get all of your beads zigzag attached to each other, it will look something like this. Once you have your whole length, you're ready to attach your chain. One end of your necklace will have a looped head pin, the other will have a bead hanging down. The way you attach the chain to each side is slightly different. It's important that you do this correctly so that the necklace hangs correctly once it's on your neck. We'll do the side without the head pin loop first. Now, if you happen to have any eye loop pins, you can use one of those. If not, you can cut the head off of your head pin and just use your looper on both ends. Attach one end of this double looped pin to the final bead head pin. Now I'll use my jump ring tool to open my 10mm jump ring. See how fast and easy that was? Love this tool. I'll attach the chain and the head pin to the jump ring and close it back up. Now for the other side. On the other side, you can just loop the jump ring right onto that last head pin. No need to add an extra one. And the last step is adding the clasp. I am using this hook clasp for mine. I'm going to use another 10mm jump ring to attach it to the chain. And on the other side, it has its loop that it hooks into. And here is the finished piece. You can see the zigzag pattern really well here while it's lying flat. At this point, if you notice a gap in the pattern where one of your pins is too long or an overlap where one is too short, you can simply unhook that pin and replace it with a new one. Let's see what this looks like on my neck.
And here we are with our finished Christmas ornament necklace. I absolutely love this. It's very chunky. It feels great around my neck because it's very light from the paper. And you can wear it so that it's a little jumbled up and looks like just a mess of ornaments, or you can lay it very flat so that all of the zigzag pattern that you made with your head pins can be seen. It's totally up to you. Also notice how the chain starts you can just kind of see it peeking through here at the top of my neck. You want to measure yourself and make sure that you get that right so it looks nice and your chain's not hanging down too far. I've got about a 12 inches here with the ornaments, and then I think it's about maybe 8 to 10 inches back here with the chain. But again, use a measuring tape, measure yourself, make sure you get this length just right so that your look is perfect and comes up around your neck. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click that little bell so you get notified whenever new tutorials go up. You may also want to go to paperbeadrollers.com and subscribe to the mailing list so you get notified whenever there are sales or when we put new products up, like paper bead templates. We're always putting up new templates that you can use to cut your paper strips. All right, thanks, and we'll see you next time.